episode 1. This episode is entitled Goal Setting because I thought at the time of this recording, it's 2021, we're just getting into the start of it. If we're talking about the best way to start up the year and the best way to start off an episode, it's really goal setting. Put a plan in place, get a plan, do the work, get the results. So, we're going to go through a practical example of a goal that I have. So, me doing these videos, me being a PT, me doing essentially the majority of things that I'm doing right now in my life, this was all a risk based on the goals that I had. So, I'll give you a quick little 3-minute rundown of how I got to this point. So, for 6 years I was working in a gardening centre. Overworked, underpaid, underappreciated. For the first year it was a new shiny job that, I was quite passionate about the gardening industry. And I would go there purely out of willpower because, I kind of enjoyed it, but not really. It started to lose a little bit of its luster, and I gave it 6 years until, I decided, oh no, I don't enjoy this anymore. It only took me 6 years, but I got there in the end. So about 4 years through, I started studying to become a PT and procrastinated through that because I knew if I became a personal trainer, I would have to put myself out there. I'd have to step outside my comfort zone. I'd have to do something a little uncomfortable, something that put me under pressure, and something where, frankly, I was outside my realm of control. So what I decided to do was I worked hard at getting my certification to become a personal trainer. Got it, started working in a gym part-time while still managing a full-time job at the gardening centre, working 40 to 45 hours a week, getting paid a pittance for the amount of work that I was doing in all different sorts of weather. So whether it was 40 degrees blasting down with heat or whether it was 2 degrees pelting down with rain and hail, I was out there. It got to a point where I sat down and I had a look at my daily journaling, something that I'll touch on this episode with, and I looked at my goals. And what I was doing did not line up with my goals. So, I decided in 2020 I was going to start working in the gym and I would start working towards that. 2020 comes along and about end of March, start of April, COVID. That was a spectacular disaster because I was only about a month in being a PT. Started to get a few clients, started to develop a little bit of a rapport, and thought I was honestly doing quite well for myself. And in hindsight, I actually was. I had about a dozen clients within my first 8 weeks. Really doing a good job of converting people into doing PT sessions with me. I thought I was doing very well, and then COVID came along. That was a spectacular flop. So, gym's closed, but I still had my full-time job working in the gardening centre. Didn't like it, but it was financial stability. Plodded along through that, and then gyms reopened. Great day, fantastic day. I was back doing what I loved. I dropped a day off the gardening centre, started working a little bit more in the gym. Found out I enjoyed that. I didn't wake up every morning dreading going to work. I actually love working in the health and fitness industry, and it aligns with my goals, what I want to do, what I hope to achieve. But there was a question of working in the gardening centre. I was sort of moved around from place to place, moved from location to location. They moved me to a branch that was half an hour away from my home, half an hour away from the gym, just a whole lot of travel back and forth. I was put into a higher position, and I was put on a 3-month trial for a company that I'd worked 6 years for. Now, I found that a little bit insulting, but my personal feelings aside, I began to be very stressed. I didn't enjoy my job, and I made bit of a risky and a bit of an uncomfortable decision. And I said, what I'm doing right now does not align with my goals. So I decided I would quit my full-time job at the nursery and I'd invest all my time, all my energy into building my PT business. Good decision. Definitely paid off, because a couple of months down the track, I have now got enough clients where I would definitely like more. I'd probably like double to triple of what I have now, so then I could just do PTing full time, because I also now work in a supplement store, which better aligns with my goals of being in the health and fitness industry, helping with nutrition, supplementation, etc., etc. So making that uncomfortable decision came from my goals and my goal setting. Now, it wasn't enough for me to say, I want to do this, and then do nothing about it. You make a plan, you put in the work, you get the results. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down goal setting. Now, if you're one of my clients watching this, you've heard this a million times. We're going to talk about SMART goals. What are SMART goals? Well, SMART is an acronym, S-M-A-R-T. It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So when you set a goal, you have to make sure your goal is specific. It's specific to what you hope to achieve. So my goal of getting into the PT industry had to be specific. Everything that I did had to be specific towards that goal. So I need to get certified. I need to get my certificate 3 and 4 in personal training and gym instruction. It needs to be measurable. So I gave myself X amount of time to complete my certificates to get into the personal training industry. It needs to be achievable. And this goes for any goal that you set. If you say you were overweight and you wanted to lose 20 kilos, something measurable, something specific, and you wanted to lose it in 4 weeks, that's a 5 kilo loss a week. That is not achievable unless you majorly starve yourself or something goes horribly wrong. The goals that you set have to be achievable. There's no point making a goal and then not being able to achieve it, because all it does is it discourages you. Make sure the goal is relevant. It's relevant to what you hope to achieve. If I wanted to be a PT, but then I started studying law, how does that relate to what I want to do? The two do not go hand in hand. So you have to make sure that what you're doing is in service of your goals. And then again, time bound. You have to give yourself a time limit. A lot of people don't achieve what they want to achieve because they don't put that limit on themselves. Now, it's important not to limit yourself, but it is important to place constraints and boundaries within it. That way, it pushes you. So, if you have, say you're going to get married, okay? Let's just put it in the shoes of the bride. Say the bride is getting married in 12 months. And like most brides, they want to strip off a little bit of weight because they want to be nice and trim and they want the wedding photos to be perfect. Or inversely, say you're a guy who, say there's a bodybuilding competition coming up and you want to lose X amount of percent of body fat to be able to step on stage and compete at a very conditioned level. Or say you want to buy a car and it gets released, so you've got word that it's going to be released in 14 months' time. So that means you have to save X amount to put a deposit on that car or to buy it outright. You need to save X amount of dollars per week for that entire period until the car is released. You need to put time constraints on your goals. That doesn't mean that if by your 12-month or 6-month or 3-month period or whatever the time period may be, if you don't achieve that goal, it doesn't mean that you failed, it just means you can reset, reevaluate, reposition yourself. So, SMART goals. Nearly all my clients know about them, and you can set them for anything in your life, whether it be health, fitness, business, career, personal, relationships, etc. You have to make sure that your goals just aren't pie in the sky, putting it out there into the universe, but then not actioning it. You need to make sure that you can quantifiably see if you're making progress. So if you were trying to lose weight, you should be able to see the numbers dropping from week to week. Over time, you can measure that loss. Now, goals can take 3 different forms in terms of time. So short term, medium term, long term. The short term goals are how we get our little wins. So, very relatable one for a lot of my PT clients. Last week, you were able to do a 40 kilo squat. This week you do 42.5 kilos, and you do it for the same amount of reps as your last set last week. Then the next week, you add another 1.25 kilos onto your squat PB. The short-term little wins doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't mean you're going to go from 40 kilos to squatting 100 in 2 weeks. It means little by little, you accumulate those little wins. You stockpile them up, and it gives you the motivation, and it gives you that fulfillment and satisfaction of having achieved little things to feed into the bigger things. So short-term goals I would usually place within 6 months. Medium-term goals. These are things I tend to place over a period of anything greater than 6 months, anything less than about 5 years. Those are my medium-term goals. The medium-term goals should be little milestones that you reach with. So it should be, in the case of me, get my certification for PT, get 10 clients, get 20, move to online coaching, have my website set up with all my training videos, all my training advice, podcasts, merchandise, etc., etc. Long term might be owning a gym, and that could be over X amount of time. So for the long term goal, I usually set that at over 5 years. It's sort of like my 10-year goal. So people will sit down and they'll say, like, you know, what's your 10-year plan? Where do you hope to be? That's sort of my long-term goal. So it's all well and good to talk about SMART goals. It's all good to have a cute little acronym to go along with a specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. It's good to know what your short, medium, and long-term goals are. This is where it comes down to putting it into practice. Write it down. Now, I only have a few notes, which you might be able to see for this sit-down episode. But you write it down because it gives you more power, it gives you something to follow along with. Same deal with your goals. When you write something down, it becomes more real. It's not just saying it, because you could say, I'm going to join the gym, or I'm going to learn how to ride a motorcycle, or I'm going to learn how to play the piano. No, write that down. And make sure you write your goals down in a place where you can see it. You regularly see it. So for some people, they might write their goals on a post-it note and leave it on the mirror. Some people might write directly onto their mirror. Some people, like me, will have a journal where you write down your goals, you readjust them, you reevaluate them as time goes on. It makes it that much more powerful when you write your goals down. They become a little bit more real. And it takes effort and it takes deliberate thought to go, my goal is to lose 10 kilos in 10 months. That takes a bigger commitment than just saying, I'm going to lose 10 kilos to a friend and then never do anything about it. Writing stuff down, that's where a lot of the power is. Because once it's written down, it stares at you. It's not just the thoughts in your head. You've put that now into the world. You've put that into existence. Write it down. Give it a little bit of power. How do we give it more power? How do we make the dream, the goal, become more tangible, more realistic? Put some action in place. Find out what you need to do to get to your goal. Now, a lot of people might say, well, my goal, let's just do something personal. It's a lot easier to speak on things that directly relate to you. So let's say your goal in the gym might be to lose X amount of weight. So I might write down on my mirror, on a post-it note, on the vanity mirror of your car, where you pull down it every day to keep the sun out of your eyes, might keep a little post-it note with your goal written on there. I will lose 10 kilos in 10 months. And then put the date that you made that goal and sign it. That way, you've made an agreement to yourself. What you then need to do is to start taking those positive steps with your goal. And this is how I do it. You don't need to be as obsessive about it as I am, but I would literally go, so my goal is to compete in a bodybuilding show. So everything I do, every bit of cardio, every weight training session, every meal that I eat, every litre of water that I drink, the supplements that I take, the rest that I get, the stress levels that I harbour, my times of silent meditation. Here's what I do. Does this action get me closer or further away from my goal? If it takes you closer to your goal, you should probably do that. If it takes you further away, that's probably something you want to stay away from. Now, what I'd recommend for you guys is to start getting in the habit of writing your goals down. The most beneficial thing that I've found is I keep sort of like a daily affirmation gratitude journal. Now, you don't have to use it daily. You could just do it once or twice a week. But basically what I do is as soon as I get up, I'll go through to my journal and I'll write, what was my first thought? Was my first thought positive or negative? So if you've woken up and you're like, oh, I've got to go to work, you can use notes on your phone, you physically write it down, as long as it's there tangibly. So I'll go, first thought, okay, I was actually excited because I know that today I'm going to work with some clients who they're making really good progress, and when they're progressing, it feels like I'm progressing with them. I felt really positive about today. I'll then write down my short, my medium, and my long-term goals. So usually over the next 6 months, over the next 2 to 5 years, and then 10 years. Short, medium, long-term goals. I'll then write down emotions that I want to experience or that I should be experiencing that will service me in getting closer towards my goal. So for some people, it might be confidence. It might be courage. It might be passion. Feelings that will help you get closer towards your goal, or things that you should be experiencing. So if there's self-doubt in there, and that's not taking you towards your goal, find a way to eliminate self-doubt. Then, I will usually just write an inspirational quote. So, it can be from anything. It can be from movies. It can be from your favorite sports figure. Could be from whatever you want. Something that inspires you, that motivates you. Now, you don't have to do this every day. Like I said, you can do it once or twice a week. But get into the habit of doing that. Write down your goals. And also, I would add to that And I'd list things that I'm grateful for, because when it stops becoming about what isn't going right and you think what is going right, you become more grateful, you place yourself in a better mindset to succeed. So for me, I might write down, I'm grateful for my family, my friends, my partner, my gym, bodybuilding. 5 little things I'm grateful for. It can be as simple as you like. It could be you're grateful for coffee. Could be you're grateful for your job. Could be you're grateful for your car because it's reliable and it gets you from point A to point B. It could be that you're grateful you just woke up this morning. Whatever it is, put yourself into that position where you become grateful for what you do have. But then start positioning yourself towards what more is there that's waiting for me. But again, you have to put in the work. Having dreams, having goals, having aspirations is all well and good. You still need to do the work. So, just a little recap. Make sure your goals are SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. Make sure you set small-term goals, short-term, to give you the little wins. Set medium-term goals as sort of like a halfway milestone. Set long-term goals so you have something big to reach for. If you find that you hit your short-term goals really quickly, readjust, reevaluate, make some more goals. Make some smaller goals to shoot towards. If you find that your goals change, so you might at first think maybe you want to be a PT, but then you find you are better suited to making content for helping aspiring PTs to run their own businesses. That could change. That's why it's important to write it down, come back, reflect, have a journal, have something that you come to regularly so you can review, reevaluate your goals. Make sure they're relevant to what you want to do now. Again, the SMART goal setting, it's applicable to everything that are in there, relevant. That is probably the most overlooked one. Make sure it's relevant to where you want to go, what you want to do, and particularly if you're a young person in your 20s, you shouldn't be doing jobs just to get by. This is a time of your life where you can actually afford to take some risks, where you can afford to find out what you're really passionate about. Because as you get older, as you get more commitments, as you get a partner, as you get a family, what you want to do and the goals that you set will become more in service of those people. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you are driven to achieving a certain goal, go for it. Short, medium, long-term goals. Come back and reevaluate them as needed. Write them down. Write your SMART goals down. Write down your short, medium, and long-term goals. Write it down. Get a journal where you write these goals down. Do some gratitude journaling. Give yourself affirmations, things that build you up, that speak positively to you. And again, set your goals. Put a plan in place. Do the work. Get the results. Well, guys, thank you for joining me for Sunday Sit-Downs. I'm grateful for coffee. And one of my short-term goals is to work enough and get a decent income where I can get a real coffee machine, or I can grind my own beans down, get some really strong coffee up in here. But guys, thank you for joining me on episode 1 of Sunday Sit-Downs. I hope that you've taken something from this. I hope just one thing I've said has helped resonate with you and will hopefully spur you on to goal setting and achieving your goals, dreams, and aspirations. Please remember, I do have an Instagram page at team_GTrain and at Garian_EvansPT. Also, I have at the Sup Guy on Instagram because I like a lot of things and I'm I choose to compartmentalize certain areas of my life, but this will be a channel where all those things that I'm passionate about come together. Sometimes we might be talking about goal setting, other times nutrition, supplementation, health and fitness, training videos, training motivation, or just general rants about anything really. You never know what you're going to get here, but hopefully it inspires you and it pushes you to do greater things. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us in the first episode. Remember, follow the Instagram pages, share, like, subscribe. Catch you in the next one. GTrain